In these 5 minutes, we are sharing our experience by having conversation in English. I am not a native English speaker. I started learning English like many years ago, but it was not like continually learning. I learned for some time, and then I start learning another language, and then I start again, and then I stop learning another language. So I learned at the beginning, like goes back to 25 years ago, like, or maybe 30 years ago. I started learning Arabic, and I was quite good at it. And then I left Afghanistan, and I went to Norway, started learning Norwegians, and then I left Norway to went to Denmark, and I started learning Danish, and then I started learning German. For what reason? I don't remember. But then I left Norway and came to Italy, so I started learning Italian. While I was learning Italian, I also started learning English. But remember, one of my biggest dream was that one day I will be good at speaking English. So, what part of the learning language is very challenging for you? Because you're learning Italian, and also I hope that one day you decide to learn Farsi as well.
Hmm.
So the challenge.
What's challenging for
Hmm.
me? Many things. I think the speaking part is challenging for me. It's much easier for me to understand when people speak sometimes, unless they speak very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's easier for me to read and write. It's hardest for me to speak. I think the pronunciation, but then also remembering words. And I think, yeah, also remembering all, because in Italian, you have to conjugate all of the verbs. And so in my brain, like remembering which verb to use in which situation. And sometimes I'll say a verb and then say, no, no, and then switch it because it needs to be with a specific subject.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and also it's changed a lot from Italian to English. I have been teaching English in Rome for like over 3 years, and it is so confusing at the beginning for Italians. And then the moment you explain to them, and they say, "Oh, okay, now, yeah, it makes sense." Like, and then they get so, and
mm-hmm.
then they say like, "English is easier than Italian." I said, "How do you know that?" Well, because people told me. People are saying that learning Italian is way more difficult than English. I think if you are an Italian watching this, you should know learning Italian is way more difficult than learning English.
Well, I've heard that it's Italian is more difficult at the beginning and then it gets easier.
Yeah.
And then English is easier at the beginning and then gets more difficult.
Yeah, especially in English, if you want to talk in like advanced level,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you know English and you feel very good about your English, and then you listening to, like some presidents they talk, and then you say like, but then you say, oh, I don't know if I know that much English. But if you're feeling like that, I can tell you the best way that you can really improve your English, just your knowledge in English, like reading books. Yeah, I mean, like I started reading books. To be honest, I started reading books for like those who for like 7 years old, like seven first
Mm-hmm.
grade, and I
Yeah,
started
reading kids'
now.
books.
Now I have a very good library. Like 99% of the books I have they are in English, and I read many of them,
Mm-hmm.
like almost all of them. But I think my understanding English is better. Like, of course, I still have accent, but if you're an Italian and you're worried about your accent, or whoever you are, not just an Italian, or like, but whoever you are, and you're worried about your accent, I never ever heard from you that you said, "Oh, I didn't understand that person because his or her accent, or he or she had an accent. Never happened to.
No, no.
So like people, they have their accent, but they communicate well that you even forget about the accent or things.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't need to speak like a native speaker in order to, like without an accent, in order to speak English well or be able to communicate well
Mm-hmm.
in English, as long as you can communicate, can get your words out, and it's under, and people can understand you. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and especially like you, I think you have to recognize your wins. Like I mean by, like how much you know now that you didn't know 5 years ago.
mm-hmm.
And I think I always celebrate that when someone told me like, oh, your English is really good, and like, and I really celebrate that. I say it's a win, like for me. I say, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like 10 years ago, people probably hardly could say that to me now. And so, like, is this kind of video helpful for you? I mean, we try our best that your time will not be wasted just watching our videos. So we are at the end of our daily conversation so far. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, if you want videos like this, please just write in comments. Say like, hey, can you do a little bit more, or like whatever in your head, just put it in words. I will promise you that we're gonna make videos on those kind of topic,
Mm-hmm.
because our goal, our focus is we will help your English get better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for watching. And if you found this video helpful, just even if you don't do anything, we will still appreciate so much if you can share with others. Thank you.